The legendary high-life musician Daddy Lumba, whose songs inspired millions, tragically passed away in July this year. But death didn't end his story. Instead, it ignited a legal battle that would captivate the entire nation and even beyond. From Accra to Hamburg, there was a drama so gripping. The presiding judge, Her Ladyship Justice Dr. Dorinda Arthur, herself would describe it as generating great interest and sentiments from the general public in Ghana and abroad. Akosua Sewa Fusu marched into the High Court in Kumasi with her lawyers. She was claiming that which she believed was rightfully hers, recognition as the only surviving spouse of Daddy Lumba and the only woman entitled to perform the sacred widowhood rites. But standing in her way was another woman, Priscilla Ofori, better known as Odobroni, who had her own story to tell about 15 years at Lumba's side and 6 children who called him father. Akosua Sewa wanted the court to order the Busuapinyin of Daddy Lumba's family not to deal with Odobroni as a wife, and she wanted the court to order Odobroni from carrying herself as a surviving spouse of Daddy Lumba. The foundation of Akosua Sewa's claim was simple. She alleged that she had married Daddy Lumba at the civil marriage registry in Germany, all the way back in December 2004. A monogamous marriage which was binding and, importantly, exclusive. One man, one woman. She insisted this marriage subsisted until the day Lumba took his last breath in July 2025. Odobroni, on the other hand, indicated that for 15 years, Daddy Lumba showcased her as his only wife, and he had borne 6 children with him. The trial started. Akosua Sewa herself was not at the trial. She testified through her attorney, one Georgina Osaibonsu. Through her attorney, we heard her version of events. She explained why she seemed absent from Lumba's life in Ghana. Someone had to stay in Germany, she argued. Someone had to raise their 3 children. Someone had to work to pay off the mortgage that they had contracted together. That someone was her. The distance wasn't abandonment or neglect per se, it was her sacrifice. She claimed that she had visited over the years. Even when her own mother died, Lumba was listed as the in-law and was permitted to carry out rites as an in-law. She tendered a video from Lumba's 60th birthday confirming that she had provided medications for him. She testified that Lumba's love for her was evident in the numerous songs he composed for her, and that even the Busuapinyin knew that she was the one and only wife, and had only recently changed his position due to certain parochial interest. Most interesting, perhaps, was her testimony to the effect that Lumba had an iconic brand, and in order to safeguard his name, she decided not to put her marital problems in the public. She had kept their troubles private, never made a scene, and never publicly challenged what she saw as improper. Unfortunately, to her, that seemed to have made Odobroni think that she had endorsed her immoral relationship with Lumba. She had expressed an intention to walk out. Indeed, her lawyers wrote to complain, but she never took the step to dissolve the marriage. To her, Odobroni was only in an amorous relationship with Daddy Lumba and was not a wife. Ernestina Fusu, Lumba's elder sister, also took the stand. She stated that Akosua married Daddy Lumba in 1991 at Bomso Kumasi, and they had 3 children. According to her, she witnessed their marriage in Germany in 2004. She denied bearing any grudges with Odobroni, stating that Daddy Lumba had even asked her to organize a German passport for Odobroni's last child. She stated that Daddy Lumba confided in her that due to his pre-existing marriage with Akosua, he could not marry Odobroni. She testified that Akosua had to stay in Germany to take care of the children and work off the mortgage they had contracted. It was a case that Akosua bought medications as well, and that indeed, like any marriage, theirs faced turbulent times, and she threatened to leave, but she never did. Akosua Sewa's lawyers also called an expert witness, one Osaibonsu Safo Kantanka, who testified on the Ashanti customary marriage. He shared his expertise on the customs of Ashanti marriage and the significance of widowhood rites as a means to sever ties between a dead spouse and the living. Now, Odobroni mounted her defense. The Busuapinyin of Lumba's family took the witness stand and gave a completely different narrative. He admitted that Akosua Bruni married Lumba customarily in 1991, but things took a bad turn when in Germany, Lumba fell ill and requested to come back to Ghana for herbal treatment. According to him, Akosua was not in favor and refused to join him. Lumba came down alone and was eventually bedridden for 5 years, and it took the intervention of Odo Bruni to nurse him back to good health. He testified that Akosua Sewa returned her drinks by custom, and the 1999 marriage stood dissolved. According to the Busuapanyin, Akosua's lawyers wrote in 2018 asking for properties, which in his view was unjustified, as she had taken over all Lumba's assets in Germany. Akosua Sewa had never brought the family's attention to the subsistence of a German marriage. In his view, she should have filed a report for bigamy if that was the case. Crucially, he alleged that when Lumba's mother died, Akosua did not perform rights as an in-law. And then we heard Odo Bruni's side. She was also billed to testify, but she did not come in person. One James Boateng, an in-law of hers, testified on her behalf. Testified stating that Lumba met Bruni at a funeral at Kwehu Eduamwa, and they got married in a very private ceremony at Tantra Hill in 2010. He indicated that at the ceremony, Lumba stated that his marriage with Akosua had broken down before his migration to Ghana. According to him, they moved to their matrimonial home at East Legon in 2016, and she bore 6 children with him. James testified that Akosua Sewa never made any protestations to the marriage between Lumba and Bruni. Lumba had made high-profile visits to the IGP Presidents Mahama and Akufo-Addo, introducing Odo Bruni as the wife. At high-profile public events, they dressed in matching colors. And even at the vigil night, it was Odo Bruni who was chosen to deliver tributes as his spouse, even though Akosua Sewa was present. The stage was set. Whose story was the court to believe? The essence of Akosua Sewa's case was that she was married in the monogamous way to Lumba under German law, and she had to prove it. Under Ghanaian law, a person who makes reliance on foreign law needs to establish the law's existence. A Ghanaian court is not presumed to know the law of a foreign land, and accordingly, the court must be guided by an expert witness. The law of the foreign land, like any other law, is subject to change, and so once you build your case on it, you need to bring an expert to support your narrative and guide the court. Unfortunately, this requirement was not satisfied. Akosua Sewa brought certificates that she alleged were her marriage certificates from Germany with foreign signatures. A copy of her marriage certificate, Exhibit B, in a letter from the German embassy with an attached marriage certificate, Exhibit C. This documentation was the heart of the case and was carefully examined by the court. The law requires such foreign documents to be signed and sealed as authentic by the Ghana embassy in Germany, a requirement that was not met. Ernestina had also earlier testified that she was present at the marriage ceremony in Germany and saw Lumba and Akosua Sewa sign the marriage certificate. However, the marriage certificate, as presented, did not have either of their signatures, so it was difficult to accept it, especially in the absence of authentication. The letter from the German embassy, as indicated, also had a marriage certificate attached, and that should have been the same as Akosua Sewa's certificate, but it bore a different date and signature. No explanation was provided for this. Additionally, because it was emanating from the German embassy, it also had to be authenticated, a requirement that was not met. Akosua Sewa tendered some wedding pictures, but the court was cautious, saying that in the era of artificial intelligence, it would be risky to establish an ordinance marriage by reference only to pictures. Video evidence would have been better, but there was none. Ordinance marriage required strict documentary proof, and all her documents appeared to be defective, so they were rejected. This effectively ended Akosua Sewa's case. She had failed to prove that she was the only legal wife married under ordinance, and the court proceeded to look at other evidence on record. Akosua Sewa had pictures showing her customary marriage between Lumba and herself, and a video from September 2024 where Lumba stated that he had paid her head drink. The allegation made by Busuapanyin that Akosua had returned drinks was found not to be credible. He was not there personally, he was not there himself, and should have brought somebody who was present to speak to those issues. Indeed, Akosua Sewa's lawyers had written to Lumba in 2018 to complain, but the court took the view that an intention to divorce is not equal to divorce, and the letter was to draw Lumba's attention to the hard times and the hardships she was facing. The court assessed these facts along with the video from 2024 showing Lumba referring to Akosua Sewa as a wife. This made things clear that the allegation that Akosua Sewa had returned drinks was simply untenable and not supported by the evidence. Lumba acknowledged her as recently as 2024 as a traditional wife, and the court agreed. Although Bruni had also told the court that she was a wife, had to prove same. The court was convinced with the vivid accounts given by James, her attorney in court. He was described as credible, coherent, and consistent. His evidence on the date of marriage, attendees, and their relationship was not contested. They also had videos of Lumba acknowledging Odo Bruni as his wife and calling her mother as an in-law. Indeed, there was overwhelming evidence of Lumba and Odo Bruni making public appearances, dressed in similar colors, and meeting dignitaries of all kinds. Ernestina, Lumba's sister, was caught on tape admitting that she was a sister-in-law to Odo Bruni. Customary marriage, unlike ordinance, does not require documentary proof. The conduct of the parties is most important. When a man impregnates a woman, accepts the pregnancy, names the child, and continues to live with her as husband and wife to the knowledge of all, then by their practice, they are deemed as husband and wife. The court accepted this evidence. Odo Bruni was therefore also a wife of Lumba under customary law. The ruling landed like thunder that Lumba had two wives. Both marriages were valid under customary law. The court was of the opinion that Lumba intended peace to reign among his wives, as he recognized and acknowledged both of them publicly before his death, and his intentions should be respected. So what do we learn from all this? Documentation is important. A monogamous marriage celebrated outside of the country necessarily needs to be authenticated to meet the judicial standards of proof. Take videos and pictures to support, but ensure, first of all, that your documents are in order. Also, we learn that maybe silence in a marriage can be the loudest statement of all, creating space for another story to be written, another life to be built, and another wife to be recognized. As Lumba's music played on after his death, and now his legacy includes this beautiful legal treatise. His love proved big enough, at least in the eyes of the law, to encompass Akosua Sewa and Odo Bruni. Follow Super Law GA Studios for more real stories, real cases.